The Sunday Times has a shocking story on what online chat rooms are doing to children, Josh.
Well, it's not just online chat rooms. It's an online chat room that's been pushed by trans charity Mermaids that's now being under investigation by the by the Charity Commission. They've been looking into more and more. By the way, I'd say Mermaids, which is a charity set up to offer support to trans youth and has had a lot of support from people like Emma Watson and Prince Harry. There's been doing some pretty dodgy stuff here. This mum tells the case of this 14-year-old son who she finds a picture of a Willie on their phone, and it was all kind of... It's a little bit misleading at the beginning of the article, to be fair, but then she finds, by looking on his phone, all this stuff from Mermaids charity. Now, what's happening in Mermaids, like a lot of children's have these like online forums, but it seems like they haven't been monitoring them correctly. Someone like Childline does it very well, and they've got very strict rules, and they have people who monitor people's posts before they go up, and they're meant to be these sort of safe spaces. It doesn't seem like Mermaids is doing that, because when they were going on Mermaids, people were then suggesting, hey, let's go on to Discord, which is a much more sort of dodgy site where they can talk about all crazy things, give their personal details. Lots of grooming of young children goes on Discord. So the fact that Mermaids was letting this all kind of happen and people going off the site to this Discord place is obviously a massive red flag.
Yeah.
And this has been an investigation by the Times.
You're saying it's getting dodgy. It starts off with an inherent dodgy position, which is this whole thing of convincing.
Oh,
children.
no, of course. I mean, and they've been putting out breast binders to young teenagers. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of other stuff. The point is, the stuff keeps on piling up. And, of course, this is what they say in response. They go, oh, that they are victim of a smear campaign. And you always see people say that, except for the fact, you know, when there are actual real accusations, these are things they have done. Yeah. So it's not like there's a smear campaign. Stop doing that stuff.
It doesn't help their cause that the Tavistock Centre has closed down.
Well, it's closing down, I think, next year or whatever. It's because of this CAS report that came out, and the Tavistock and the Mermaids charity work very closely together, and they just haven't had the science to back up this position of just pushing young children or young teens into this life of medication and whatever, as opposed to when the fact that most of them will probably grow out of it.
Because what happens is that quite often these kids, they're depressed, they're not happy with their lives, and they get misdiagnosed as having gender dysphoria. In other words, they say, look, you're depressed because you're a boy in a girl's body. Yeah. And then that's the diagnosis. And then sometimes they get puberty blockers, which stops puberty from happening.
And Mermaids basically says, no, there's no side effects. Turns out there are loads of side effects.
Yeah. How could they know that there will be no side effects to stopping puberty?
Well, exactly. And certainly when they haven't got the research to back it up. Yeah. So they've just been pushing an ideology, essentially. And now, but in an unsafe way, beyond the fact that the ideology is unsafe, things like this, which have real ramifications, where they're sort of allowing these children to go onto even these terrible websites and not monitoring their online stuff properly, is just indicative of, I think, the bigger picture here, where they're set up to supposedly to help children, but actually children are being damaged.
And no one wants to speak out against this damage to kids because they're afraid of being called transphobic. It's like the grooming gang, the situation in parts of the country where you can't call it out because of...
Well, they're being called out now. They are being exposed. Of course, by saying that stuff, yes, they're going to go, oh, it's a smear campaign, and everybody who supports this stuff is going, oh, my God, Turf Island and the UK is worse. No, we're calling this stuff out. We are protecting our youth.
You're focusing on the end bit, which is this perception that there might be some grooming going on. But the initial thing is just so evil, the idea of this thing called phalloplasty. They're talking about forearm or thigh skin grafts, phalloplasty.
Well, if you look at the damage it does for an arm, this is where they take part of the forearm and make it into an artificial willy. But you see the damage that it does to the arms.
So they take the flesh off the arm and they put it downstairs?
Yeah.
That's progress, is it?
Isn't this supposed to be a comedy program, Mark?
Lewis, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How do you identify? What are your pronouns, baby?
I have post nouns, which is plus, Lewis Schaffer plus.
Mine are Jewish.
Jewish.
That would do it.
Yeah.